co-host Tico, and the star is you, right? Because this is all about your journey. Because your journey is my journey. You know, I'm not a guru. I'm not a guide. I'm walking along a path of mental development, self-development, along with everyone else that this resonates with, right? And I'm really big into resonance, you know, the ones who are like, we're in alignment here. And I feel blessed. So welcome my new subscribers and everyone that's like commented or liked or watched the videos. Um, it really empowers me and motivates me to, you know, share more ideas. And I'm really trying to keep this channel, well, I love the esoteric ideas, but I'm trying to keep this channel really mind focused. You know, first level for Hermeticism, all is mind, right? And so we really want to, you know, there's some channels or some people that really want to work with like the spiritual aspects, some people that want to work with the emotional aspects, some people that want to work with the biophysical or, you know, even etheric body, like chi or prana aspects. I'm really trying to keep this mind focused, right? Because this is like what we can do with ourselves, right? We don't need a guide, we don't need a guru, we need a pen and we need a piece of paper, and we just need to be our authentic, cringy selves and not be afraid to dig deep and really try to examine, you know, what's been holding us back. And I'm going to share a couple examples today. You know, I evolve as you guys evolve, and you evolve as I evolve, right? Where Earth is going through this huge shift, and you can feel this huge separation between the density and people that are like, the density isn't working for us anymore, right? And I know what it's like to have struggles. I have significant struggles. You know, I have struggles with spinal disease. I have kidney disease. I have neuro issues, severe chronic pain, fibromyalgia, neurodivergence issues. XYZ labels go on. We can, you know, get into that some other time. Crazy stories, right? All these things. But like, I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to not even be able to move without excruciating pain 24 hours a day, right? It's extreme. Things can wear down our minds. And it's not just physical pain that brings us down, whether it's, you know, something that we're holding on to, or stress or anxiety or pressures we put on ourselves, or, you know, the expectations that society holds us to meet, or the ones we hold for ourselves, or the ones that we have beliefs about that have been causing these things. So that's what this video is all about today, is really, you know, we looked at trying to pull out some of them subconscious blocks. Now we're looking at really trying to how identify beliefs, and it is so simple. It is so easy. No one had taught me this. No one had told me this until recently. I kind of stumbled onto this technique, and it sounds so easy. It sounds cliche, but it really works, you know? And so this is like another journaling exercise. You're going to want pen and paper, but it's really looking at identifying our beliefs through our triggers, when our emotions get involved. And there's a whole psychological aspect of that I'm going to talk about in a future video also. But just sticking with using the language, right? So when we're triggered, we want to not go into the interaction or the trigger or the feeling or the whatever, but we want to step back to look at what belief is being activated here. Okay. So for instance, like I had a kind of a, what I would consider a not necessarily perfect positive interaction with a person that like I care about a lot, right? It was, yeah, and I was feeling really misunderstood. And I could feel this like kind of like stress or, you know, tension, anxiety in me, kind of like, you know, when those arguments are starting to like build up and there's this like back and forth, right? And I mean, I needed to remove myself from the situation because I realized it wasn't getting anywhere. You know, once things start sliding into whether it's like kind of personal attacks or snarky things or comments or this or that, you know that this is, or there someone's starting to bring up past things that don't really have to do with what's being talked about right now. That's another like giant key where it's like, for me personally, I'm like, okay, this conversation is just not being productive. I got to like shut off my energy and really reflect here. So I went and took my journal and I reflected really on this trigger. And I'm like, well, what is this trigger? What is this belief? What is this belief that's getting triggered? Because clearly it's not positive. It's not going to be serving me, right? And it's probably a belief that I don't know. And I was, um, digging into the concept of being misunderstood. And so here's what kind of what I came up with some of those beliefs is like, I realized that it's okay to be misunderstood. My belief was somehow that, first of all, that this is not okay, right? Just understanding that, I was like, huh, okay, for some reason, I don't believe that it's okay. Now, the nice part about doing this work, it kind of is conscious adults where we are right now, tracing it back to the source or the buried core memory of where that belief comes from isn't really necessary for this piece of the work right now. Okay? It's not really necessary. So I don't know if that came from my parents, I don't know if that came from school. I don't know where that came from. But I realized it was there. And so I kind of explored that further and I'm like, well, why is it okay? It's okay because if you're being misunderstood, it's not your fault. Now, I don't mean if like I'm not being clear and I'm, blah, 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 not making any sort of sense and need to re explain myself. I guess what I mean by being misunderstood here is I was looking at if a person's not taking the time to want to even see your perspective or balance your perspective as like equal or valid, and all they want to do is like attack your perspective or offer no but no 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 without, so put their perspective on you but without holding that same or equal space, then you're not the problem. the, while you're being misunderstood here, the problem is them, it's not you, right? If they weren't really understanding, they'd say, oh, could you clarify this because I really want to understand your perspective. And they would mean it, it would be authentic, right? So when that energy's coming there, I'm like, wow, okay, so now this is a thing too, because that's maybe not like a comfortable energy for me, but I can sit with that, I can be with that, right? So right, so there's a belief where those are two beliefs where somehow I come ingrained into, if you're being misunderstood in that type of way where someone's not holding the space to see your perspective, right, it's your fault. And being misunderstood in general is bad. Somehow that's wrong or bad. Instead of, oh, that's okay. And just, and, so there's an example of that. Another one, identifying my beliefs through my, through the triggers. Um, I also kind of like, will look at my thoughts as my triggers too. So for instance, when I'm working on a project or working on like an art project or working on like whatever it is, X, Y, or Z. It's not really perfectionism, but when the outcome doesn't like, it's not that it has to match or like be perfect, but like when a project doesn't go somewhere or like it's not as fulfilling or it just X, Y, or Z, I kind of get like bummed. I get down, right? Get down on myself and this and that, kind of like a depressed feeling. And so, okay, instead of like exploring that feeling or wondering where that came from now, I pause and I look and say, okay, so this is a trigger here. So what could be the belief? I start just guessing. And here's what I came up with for myself was I was not seeing the value in the process of doing the project. I was only seeing the value in a final project or I'm sorry, a final result of the project, right? Whether that's a financial result or a tangible result or a visual result or X, Y, or Z. So result focused. So somehow I can come up with the belief that like the result is what matters, not the process. Now, where did this come from? I was like hypothesizing again, maybe school, gold stars, maybe it's from my parents, but I don't really know. And that's what I'm saying. That's the beautiful part about doing this work is it's so easy. You don't have to know, right? We don't have to know the origin of some of these beliefs before we can start working on flipping them. And that's what my next video I kind of wanted to go over is just how we're simple way to flip the beliefs. It's kind of like flipping tables. We're gonna be flipping the beliefs, right? So when you're triggered, if you feel the triggers, instead of psychologically going that way, pause the mind, grab that piece of paper or pen, or maybe revisit it after you're triggered too. But instead, you're going to want to ask the question, what is the belief that I'm holding here? I won't say that's causing the trigger because that's not exactly energetically like accurate, right? But we're really trying to figure that out. So what is the belief that I'm holding here? Because chances are it's not, I don't want to say it's a negative belief. I mean, I would classify a lot of these as negatives, but I don't know if I like negative or positives. Beliefs are beliefs, right? Is it beneficial to you to hold that belief? Well, not if you're still always getting triggered and or feeling these certain ways, these energy frequencies, right? So that's that's what I had for you today. I'm glad you're with me on this journey. If this resonates, if this is in alignment with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others that you think it'll be in alignment with. Please tell me about your journeys in the comments. I want to get to know you. I want to hear about your challenges. Tell me about a belief that you can find out, stalk down inside yourself, because I can guarantee that someone else reading those comments will resonate with that. That's how resonance works. It's like when one guitar string gets plucked, the one right next to it will vibrate as well, right? They're in resonance. So share your comments, please, and your journey, as I'm trying to share my journey, but I want to learn from you as well, because I can learn as well. And I feel blessed and honored that I get to walk alongside you. So, peace.